Now this is just a quick movie to talk about getting a job out. Now because ArchiCAD is such a powerful tool, it's important to actually think about ways that you can automate many of the tasks that you had to do manually before drawing with 2D tools. The other danger with working with something like ArchiCAD is that because it's so easy to produce documentation and drawings, is that you do too much work and you don't get paid for it. So there's a couple of rules that I've come across which hopefully you can use. A couple of guidelines which maybe you could take on board is to model everything down to, say, a scale of 1 to 20. Anything under the scale of 1 to 20 you may as well do in 2D. Now there are some exceptions to that rule. The correct thing here to say is if anything appears more than once in a project, it should be modeled, because if you see it 2 or 3 times you probably get the benefits back from modeling it. Now the third thing when you're modeling something is that if you are to model something, let's just say a light fitting, if in 2D what you used to do is just draw a rectangle like that with a line through it like that, let's make sure that when you model it in ArchiCAD that you just create a square with a line through it. So if you were going to model this light fitting in ArchiCAD, maybe you just grab it and draw a slab, put it at the right height, and then maybe put a line through it as well. Now I'm not saying this is the way to do it, but I'm just trying to illustrate that you can actually model a light up so it looks beautiful and perfect in 3D. And if that's what you want to do and you're going to get paid for it, by all means do it. But if you're not, just do the same thing, and that way you can guarantee that you'll get work out quicker than if you were working in straight 2D, because as soon as you've done that, it would have taken about the same amount of time, but it will also now appear in all sections and elevations. An ArchiCAD drawing will increase in size dramatically if you use 2D lines, but if you use 3D objects, the actual file size will stay smaller as well. On the right, so I'm just going to delete those. Make sure you've got all your favorites lined up. So if you click on the wall, and let's just say you only use 2 or 3 wall types, maybe a partition wall, or what you may put in here is a 240 brick veneer, an internal wall, a brick wall, and whatever else you might have. So they appear there all the time. So as soon as you click a wall, you can click that and draw with your favorite wall type. So that's a great way of making what you do a lot quicker. Same with the doors, windows, make sure they're all there. Make use of the palettes that are in there. Now I've actually covered palettes on another movie, but if you need to know where they are, under window, palettes, and your favorites palette is just down there. Now on the right hand side you can actually speed up what you're doing quite a bit here as well. Here you've got your generic views of your model, and you're just modeling without thought to layer combinations or anything else actually. So when we're modeling in the project map, we should also take consideration to the stage of the documentation that you're at. So for example, if we wanted to use a 240 brick veneer wall, and I've put those around that at the moment. Now if I was to save that with that view, so if I click on quick options, the way we're viewing the model is set to building plans. I'd probably modify that to the way that you would be working, and the way you do that is you go to document, set model view options. So in here I've just replaced everything with just 2 model view combinations. For construction documentation it's basically set up like that, and the design documentation it's set up like that. I've gone over this on another place on the DVD again, so I won't go over it again. So I'm just going to accept that. So in here on a ground level we can either look at it with the design development model view option, where we've got all our fills fairly solid, and then if I switch over to construction documentation, we can see we've got fills. Now you can change everything here in the quick options, from your layer combinations to scale and everything, and then you can jump over to the view map where you save these views, and then you can add it to a sheet of paper and print it out very easily, once again automating that whole process. As I'm modeling in this ground level in the project map, let's just say I'm doing a design documentation set of drawings, then I click on the next one, and I would save that view as, maybe I'm just going to change this to custom design development ground, Actually, we can already see that there's a ground level there, so I'm going to create that. We can see that there, and I might put that into a folder as well. New folder, call that design development, create, and drag that into there. Then if I was going back to my project map now, over here I've got the ground floor. Let's just say I'm planning ahead and I want to do my construction documentation. So that's what that's going to look like. And then I go to my view map once again and I save that view. Construction documentation, and it's got the right prefix. And then just drag that into that folder there. So now I've got my construction documentation view, and that's what it's going to look like there. And then in my ground level, and in my design documentation, that's what it'll look like. Remember, in the view map, everything we do to our model is saved in that view. So we can have layer combinations and all sorts of other things predefined. So as soon as I start drawing something, depending on how I want to look at it, everything else will be updated automatically. So now let's just say I was drawing some more, and now if I go to my next page, we can see design developments there, and my construction documentation is there as well. So I don't have to draw it all again. It's the artificial intelligence of the software that's creating the documentation. The next thing is to consider the elevations. Make sure that you've got all your elevations with the right display settings. You might use colors and hatching for your design development elevations, and you might use just vectorial hatching for your construction documentation elements. And you'd set up two sets of those like we've done with the ground level there and the ground level there. Now, some other views that might be important to, say, the design development is your sun studies. So I've already created these as a part of my template. I'm just going to drag that into that folder, and that's less work I have to do once again. And these are just views of the model that have been predefined, and as soon as I propagate them with any sort of information, they automatically do your drawings. And then these views are automatically transferred to your layout book. So just to summarize, once we've got our favorites set up, all our drawing views set up, we can substitute the masses that I've placed in here initially with actual building elements. These building elements will automatically propagate the rest of the project. So the model that we create and develop through our project map will transfer automatically to our view map, and the different views will also, and their settings, the different views and their settings will also propagate the different styles of documentation that you need to create. Then in our layout book we'll be able to save our different sheets of paper that cater to the different styles of documentation that we need to do. And then in our publishing set, I might just drag this over the other side, we can have documentation sets that are set up for construction documentation and design documentation, or whatever you may want to call them. So we're catering to all the different styles of documentation and automating it all. You just have to really think about the best way to automate as much of the tasks that you need to create as possible.